Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. For episode 8, we're featuring sci-fi writer Adam Gaffen. Adam Gaffen is in no particular order a father, husband, author, and chef. He was born in Maine and lived there most of his adult life before moving to Colorado with his wife, 5 dogs, and 5 cats. He counts Robert Heinlein among his greatest writing influences. He's proud to be a member of the Heinlein Society. Other influences include David Weber, John Ringo, Douglas Adams, and David Westlake's Dortmunder books. He is currently working on the 4th in the increasingly popular Cassidy Chronicles and hopes to have it released this spring. Fans are welcome to contact him through Facebook or Instagram, where he doesn't hide behind an alias. So it's adam.gaffen on Facebook and Adam Gaffen on Instagram. So welcome, Adam. If he's not your favorite before, he will be after.
Thrilled to be here tonight.
Yay! So good to see you. So we have lots of very important questions today. I hope you did your research.
Wait, research?
Yeah, you got the brief I sent you, right?
I have 5 dogs. They ate it.
And that's one way. That's one way to keep track of that. No homework. We're right. Right?
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, but 5 dogs and 5 cats. You balanced. I think that's very clever.
It wasn't intentional. At one point, I think we were up to 13 cats, but that didn't last very long. That's way over critical mass. So.
Yeah, we have 2 cats, and they like to try to kill each other. I don't know what we would do with 13.
Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty but all the ones that are no longer with us found good homes.
Good.
So.
That's the important part, right?
Yes.
That's what matters. Well, we have some questions for you today, and of course, I'll pull stuff out of the chat. So, chat, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down. Actually, we have one right now, and
Okay.
we have David wants to know, because Dave is from Maine.
Oh.
So he wants to know that, do you drink Moxie?
Not usually. Once in a great while, I'll have a can of it just to remind myself why I don't usually drink it.
Okay, so from all of us not from Maine, what's Moxie?
Oh boy. Think of the child of Coca-Cola and cough syrup.
Do I have to?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, good, thanks.
But there's a town in Maine. Is it Lisbon Falls? Dave can probably check me on it. I think it's Lisbon Falls, where there's a Moxie parade and weekend every year, it just celebrates Moxie.
How funny. The things you learn, man, the things you learn. Well, let's see. We have more questions for you, just as important as Moxie. So my first one is the question that readers tend to ask writers. So the very first one is always, where do you get your ideas?
Well, for the people who haven't read my books, the 2 main characters, Cass and Ken, Ayanna Cassidy and Kendra Cassidy, are very determined women. And when I took about a month off when we moved from Maine to Colorado, just because it took that long and things were packed up. I took about a month off, and by the end of that month, they were yelling at me to get back to writing because you haven't finished this part of the story. So when I finished that book at the end of November, I told my wife, I'm not gonna write anything in December. I'm just gonna market the book. By the end of December, I was about 50,000 words into the next book. So
nice.
Yeah. They're 2 very determined women, and they do not let me not write their stories.
Well, sometimes women are like that. Let's see. I saw that you were a Dragon Award nominee. Congratulations. Dragon Con is our favorite event. So this is a family tradition. We love this place. Moms always go. My mom's the one who convinced me to go to begin with. We love that place. So how did you manage to wrangle one of those? Because I'm envious. I want to know how this happens.
Um, part of it is simply getting somebody to nominate you, which is easy enough. Anybody can nominate a writer. That's easy. And then getting enough people to say, yes, this person ought to make it through the nomination process onto the ballot. So that gets to mobilizing fans and saying, okay, go bug them.
So you just got to get that nomination because it can't be you, right? You can't nominate your own.
You can, but it's kind of dirty pool.
Mm.
Yeah. And
just asking for a friend.
Yeah. Have Kevin nominate you.
Yeah, that's totally fair, right? Totally fair.
Absolutely. Totally above board. And we love Dragon Con too. We went there 4 years in a row. We went 13 through 16. And we loved it. But by 16, it was starting to get a little bit too crowded.
Mm.
That year, I think Dragon Con was up to 77,000 people. And it felt like it. So the next year it was, well, do we do this or do we that? And we haven't gone back since. Obviously, nobody went anywhere this year.
Right.
We hope to, yeah. We'd love to get back again. Mm-hmm. So
you just have to know all the secret routes. Like, I don't like the big crowds either. So we know the secret routes to get wherever you need to go.
Oh, it's not the getting from point A to point B, because I'm fairly decent with directions, but the go over here and turn left when you think you ought to turn right because that way is better. Yeah, no, that's fine. It just the queues, the massive throngs of queues, because sooner or later you get to your destination along with 3,000 other people.
That's true.
In a room.
Yeah, the elevators are a ride all into themselves. It is true.
Oh, yeah, we don't do elevators. We don't even stay in downtown Atlanta. We usually stay out at the airport.
Oh, wow.
We'll stay out at the airport and we take the subway in.
Yep.
Because it drops you off right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Drops you off right at Peachtree, and look, there we are, right in the middle of things. But it's quiet. You don't have to. You don't have to
fight for an elevator. I would know what that's like.
Yeah, and it's speaking as an independent author, it's a lot easier to spend $75 a night on a hotel room than $750.
Oh no, we never do that. We have a legacy room.
Oh well, yes.
Yeah. My Zafo is magical when it comes to finding ways, and he found a legacy room, and we're never letting it go.
Good plan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the elevators are not fun, so I'm not sure it's such a good plan. It's like you have to take everything with you out of your room because you have no idea when you're going to make it back in there.
Right.
But it's an adventure. We love it.
Yes.
All right. So someone needs to nominate our books. Okay, I got it. We're going to make this work. So next question. What is your potluck go-to?
Ooh. All right. Haven't done a lot of potluck lately. I mean, even before this year. But arancini. What it is you make a risotto, which is a process all unto itself.
Love risotto. Yep.
And then you let it cool down, and then you take the rice and you form it into a ball with something in the middle, usually a little piece of cheese. Some people do a shrimp, whatever. You can put anything in the middle. Then you form it into a ball, and then you coat it with panko crumbs, and you pan fry it. It's Sicilian.
That's delicious.
Oh, they're fantastic. It's Sicilian street food.
Huh. That sounds amazing. I'm going to have to try. We eat a lot of risotto, so I always have leftovers. So it's one of my favorite dishes to make.
I would usually do the cheese. So you get a nice little chunk of mozzarella in there, or any kind that you like, and you fry it, and it's melty and gooey, and you dip it into tomato sauce. Yeah.
Yum. So it's like, a mozzarella stick, but with risotto.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I'm totally stealing that. I mean, gonna make that probably later this week. There's been a lot more cooking in this house lately.
Go figure.
That was a good answer. What was it called again?
Arancini.
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 I do regular food posts. Don't be surprised if that shows up now. You're going to see it. Let's see. We had another Maine question.
Ooh.
Let's see. This one's from Kevin. He's from Florida, so he has a Maine question for you. He wants to know, have you ever left a frozen deer on your roof?
No. No, but one of our dogs brought back the leg of a deer. We don't know where the rest of the deer is. Never did. But he came back with a leg, and he gnawed on that thing for weeks. He was thrilled.
He must have been so proud of himself.
He was. Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, that could still happen in Colorado, right? I mean, this is not just a Maine thing.
Oh, no. We've been told, even though we live in a small city, we've been told that the alley behind our house, you don't put your trash out the night before because bears regularly walk through the alley.
Are you in Colorado or Alaska? I'm confused now. Yeah, you always had to watch out for bears on garbage day. That's hilarious. Colorado's an interesting place. Let's see. In the Cassidy Chronicles, so that's your amazing series with that gorgeous cover behind you, you have the U.S. chopped into smaller countries along what I have to admit seem like very logical borders, by the way. So I think that totally makes sense. And yet you still have technology advanced through the turmoil. Like we didn't stop and we didn't go backwards. It kept advancing. So how did you manage to balance that?
Well, mostly by skipping over it. But seriously, technology, the breakup of the United States that I posit, and it's mostly outside of the books. It's referenced here and there, especially in the first one. Mm-hmm. But it's mostly outside of the books. But the breakup was mostly peaceful. It was, if there was a war, it was very brief. Because they just said, fine, go away. We don't want to deal with you anymore. There weren't any protracted wars. But it is a known it is known to happen that during wars, technology advances faster than during times of peace. So if you look back at World War I, World War II, technology advanced hugely quickly. At the beginning of World War II, you had people flying around in biplanes still. By the end of World War II, you had people in jets. And that's just one example.
Good point. Yeah. I don't know. For me, I just think if like the United States went to a big war, that it would we would slow technology down. So I guess that makes sense. It does advance as long as you have the money behind it.
Right. And it happened over a period of about the last country to split off in about 2092, somewhere around there. So it happened over a period of about 70 years. So it didn't happen all at once, and not everywhere was involved all at once. So there'd be a schism in one section, and the rest of the country would just be going about its business.
Well, that makes sense. So they would be able to keep it up.
Right. So because it never happened all at once, and we're also forgetting, that the advances could have come from, and probably could have come from Europe and Japan and Asia and Africa and Australia and other places, because they weren't involved in this at all.
That's also true. That makes sense. It works for me. Well, it was just very interesting. I liked it. So that was a cool way to look at it. Let's see. If you could spend a weekend with one of your characters, who would it be and where would you go?
I suppose the best. I need to ask you a question.
Oh,
Do I have to do it now or during the time of the books?
it's completely up to you. You answer it whatever way is the most entertaining.
Okay. In that in that case, the answer is pretty easy. I'm going to pitch a lift in the Endeavor because that's the more advanced starship. Pitch a lift in the Endeavor with, well, Kendra doesn't usually. Kendra is the admiral, but that's not her flagship. So I guess I'd be hanging out. Oh, probably with the XO. That would be Commander Candace Sanzari. Um, she's been with. She's a character who comes in the first book and gets recruited to do something totally out of her comfort zone in the second book, and a very down to earth person, but a good person to have at your back when you're 20 light years away from home.
That would be interesting. Off on a spaceship. I mean, just on a spaceship period would be fun. Let's see. If you could have your dream pet, what would it be? And this could be real or fictional. This is your dream pet. We're dreaming.
Probably a manticore and tree cat. From David Weber's Honor Harrington books.
Manticores freak me out. What do they look like in the David Weber books?
Okay, so the tree cats they look like a regular cat, but they're about a meter long, and they have six legs. But two of them are actually, they call them true hands, and they function as hands, complete with opposable thumbs. Tree cats are telepathic, and they rank above older dolphins on the sentience scale. So they're smart, very smart.
Your dogs wouldn't have a chance.
No, and they love celery.
They love celery.
Yeah, they love celery.
That's hilarious. I love writers. They're my favorite. Let's see. If you could, I asked you that one. If you were drafted to go to Mars in one of the first colonies, what would your job be?
In one of the first colonies. Oh boy.
I know it's a tough one, right? I like this question. It's brand new.
That's a good one.
Thank you. We had Elon Musk on the mind lately, so I think that's where it came from.
Oh. In terms of a first or second wave colonist, I'm not sure that I have a lot of the qualifications to be in that cohort. That being said, I'm not bad with technology, and I can certainly monitor a bank of idiot lights to make sure that they stay green and don't turn red.
Hey, that's an important job. Somebody has to do it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, assuming in this, again, first wave, no. Second wave, when they start getting a little bit less specialized and a little bit more generalized, I could probably find something to do. My background is in management, so I can organize things well enough, and that would probably be a useful skill. But I think people are going to be more worried about surviving rather than who's taking,
being managed at the beginning. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to steal office supplies? Where are you going to go with them? Seriously, they're pretty safe. Let's see. Safo had the same thought I did because we were both nuclear engineers in the Navy. So we were like, oh, okay. So you just want to be a reactor operator, huh? Because that's what they do, right? I mean, if Homer Simpson can do it, we can all do it. So, yeah, Kevin picked up on the Homer Simpson, too. He wants to know if donuts were involved. I mean, if there's not donuts on Mars, why are we bothering? So,
Well, we'll have to bring them.
and make them, and they'll be delicious.
Yes. Duncan will probably have a franchise there in the first wave.
That's right. I know there'll be a war. I don't know. We're in Texas now. Shipley's might have to fight with them. Let's see. Kevin wants to know, does Adam have any plans to spend a weekend at the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Resort at Disney World? He says it's meant to be like an outer space cruise ship experience.
We were at Disney a year and a half before it opened. A year and a half before that part opened, so it was about this time in 18. And we heard all about it, and we were like, okay, we got to come back here. So yes, absolutely, it's in the plans to go back and spend time there at some point.
You know, when we can do these things again.
When we can do these things. And see, one of the Arnie, knock it off. Sorry, one of the cats is clawing at the door because I'm not paying attention to him.
The cat's like, why am I not the star? What are you doing in there?
Yes. See, this is one of the things that they don't tell you about having pets. When we moved from Maine to Colorado, we left our house sitter behind. We had this woman, and her husband, and, I've known him for 5 years, 6 years now. Mm-hmm. And we were good friends. And when we would go on vacation, we'd just say, hey, can you come and, take care of the dogs?
These animals for us.
Yeah, take care of the animals. And she'd just move in for the time that we were away. And she loved taking care of all the dogs and cats. We don't have that here yet. And
I'm telling you, find a teenager. That's what we use. They work great.
While boarding these animals, because we had to do that when we moved,
mm-hmm.
because they got driven across the country. And then they spent 10 days in a pet hotel in Albuquerque before getting driven here. Boarding 10 animals for any period of time is not cheap.
It sounds like a mortgage payment to me.
Given what we're paying for this place, it was 3.
3 mortgage payments? Ouch. Well, those dogs and cats must know they're loved.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they know that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he's saying, why aren't you giving me fuss? You love me, right?
I want you to know my mother, who's also a huge dog lover and cat lover, and she is very careful about who takes care of her animals. And she was wondering if you could name them all.
Of course. The squeaking one is Arnie, short for Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's Bruno, Clara, Theo, Molly. Theo and Molly are twins. And those are the 5 cats.
Is Clara from Doctor Who?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the dogs, we have George, Charlie, who is a female. We have Daisy.
Is that from Supernatural?
Nope. My daughter watched Supernatural through the whole run. I never watched a single episode. Just never got into it.
I haven't watched a single episode either. I've watched all of them many, many times.
So is she. Daisy, who is the only animal who has a dog-like, an animal-like name. Onyx, and finally Mazikeen.
Ooh, you got fancy on the last one.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome. See? He can name them all.
She's named after the demon from Lucifer.
I was going to say, is that Lucifer? That was my next question. See, dorks do rule, Jenny. Did you hear that? We're total dorks. See, we got it all down. I knew your references. I get it. Hey, dorks are the only ones with these creative minds who make these awesome stories. That's what this is. Let's see. So what do you hope readers get from your work?
Each book is a little bit different, obviously. The first one is really an introduction to their world. And it's very fast-paced, but I throw a ton of pop culture references in there. It's virtually an homage to science fiction writers and television shows. So I hope with the first one they just they enjoy the ride because it's supposed to be a wild ride. The second one is more serious, but what I've done with Kendra in the first book, and I did not know this when I started writing it. Okay.
Mhm.
When I wrote the first one, I gave Kendra an obsession. Okay, she wants me to call it a hobby. Of
She's yelling at you right now.
yes, of late 20th century and early 21st century television and movies.
Nice.
She grew up watching the stuff that we're watching now. So that has been a huge influence on her. So in the second book, she's come into a situation where she can actually start living out some of these ideals that she's picked up from television shows, most notably the one created by Gene Roddenberry, Star Trek.
Nice.
Yes.
You can say Star Trek. It's okay.
Okay. So she has bought into the ideals.
Mhm.
And so she is trying to create that in her time.
Hence the ship Endeavor. Is that where that comes from?
Endeavor and her first ship. So at the end of the first book, she finds out that the trust that she is inheriting, among other things, is building a warp ship, a warp-capable starship, which at the time was named the Phoenix. And she says, no, as of right now, that changes. It's the Enterprise. So she renames the
I
ship.
said so.
Yes. She's going, my money, my trust, you're renaming it.
It's only fair. I mean, I support her 100%.
So, but she buys into the ideals. And so the second book is about her trying to create a situation where these ideals can become reality for her and for, the people around her. At the same time, she's growing up. She's being forced to take on a leadership role, not just taking care of herself and her wife, but she's got now thousands of people who are looking to her for what do I do next? And she's got to face up to, okay, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
How do I handle this?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the third book, it's also serious. She's still trying to, realize these ideals, and the opposition is getting more and more devious. They're trying to dig up her past to destroy her future.
Well, that's not fair.
No. And so part of it is, a question of what makes a person human.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is really what all sci-fi is about, isn't it? It's about the human experience.
So that's the third one in a nutshell.
Excellent. And you've got at least 4. Are there more than 4, do you think, in this series, or do you think 4 finishes it up?
Oh, no. There's going to be at least 5, possibly 6, or probably 6, maybe more than that. It depends on where the focus is. As a model, I'm kind of looking at Eric Flint and his 1632 series, because you have the one primary track and then you have a whole bunch of branching tracks. So I think the primary track will probably end after 5 or 6 books, but there's enough in there and there are enough characters in there so that it can branch out and go a whole bunch of different directions.
Can continue to explore this world.
Yep, but we'll find out.
Let's see. Dave has a question for you. He wants to know, he said that the Cassidy Chronicles are also an audio. Yes. So can you talk about how far in advance of the release you started working on that?
Well, Well, the Cassidy Chronicles audiobook, I didn't, let's see, I finished that one in May and started looking for somebody to do an audiobook. Hired her in June, and then it was, when was it? It was beginning of August that it was finished recording, because it's a big book. It's 112,000 words. And so it was 12 hours of audio, 12 plus. And, that just takes time to record and re-record and balance and get everything right, because Audible is very picky.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to be dead on.
As well they should be.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it took them a month to, no, it took them over a month to approve it for release. So it wasn't until mid-September. So it was about a 3-month process, 3.5-month process. The second book has been finished, and Audible has it, and I hope to hear from them in the next couple of weeks that it's been approved for release.
Well, they were taking forever to approve, so hopefully they've worked that out.
So that's still over a month, but
it's way too long. Like the first book, it took like just a few weeks, and then the second book, it took like 2.5 months for them to approve. I'm like, come on, people. But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We have a favorite question around here, so I need to know, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Peppermint.
Peppermint, like just peppermint, like candy cane peppermint, or like.
I didn't particularly know there were different flavors of peppermint. But,
well, because I'm always thinking of like the mint chocolate chip one.
No.
So you do mean like candy cane peppermint, like peppermint?
Yeah, candy cane peppermint.
And you're our first peppermint. We're going to have to write that one down.
You've never... The best hot fudge sundae I've ever had is hot fudge on peppermint.
That actually sounds like Christmas to me. Because, in Houston in Christmas, it's warm, so I can still eat ice cream. Let's see.
You mean it has to be warm to eat ice cream?
I thought it did, but apparently it doesn't, because I have been corrected by Dave in Maine. He's like, yeah, we eat ice cream. I'm like, but it's too cold. But then again, I'm from Chicago, and I remember we used to eat ice cream up there. Well, we used to have Dairy Queen. That counted as ice cream.
Yeah.
Let's see. What project that's in progress or not started are you most excited about?
It's always the one I'm working on now.
Nice.
So right now it's the 4th book in the Cassidy series. Today, each of these volumes is divided into 3 books, 3 parts. Mm-hmm. So just today, I started the 3rd book in the 4th volume. So I'm on the home stretch. I know where this one is. I know where this one is going to end. And sorry, Kevin, different Kevin. This one's going to end on a cliffhanger too. It's not going to be resolved.
Actually, I had a question about that, because I see that you like to end your books on cliffhangers, and that's pretty controversial. So I'm wondering, why do you decide to use that technique?
Because if I didn't end it on a cliffhanger, well, the first book, each book would be this big. There is no clean stopping point. The first book there was, because honestly, when I finished that book, I didn't expect there to be a second book. Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, I've told the story, I'm done. Even at the end of the first book, there's even a little epilogue saying, the kind of what happened to everybody afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second book, I started to write something else, and it just didn't. wasn't quite working. There were a lot of problems. And then I thought, well, if I drop it into the Cassidy universe, then all the problems are solved. It solves all. So it turned into another Cassidy book. And so this one, the second book, kind of has an ending. It could stand alone. You could stop reading at the end of that one, and there's enough of a resolution so that you'd say, all right. The third one is definitely not, it's definitely a to be continued, because there are just so many threads that I started going in that, that it couldn't, there is no place. I could have stopped it anywhere and it would still be incomplete. So I stopped it after a very dramatic moment. I stopped it after it. I resolved the dramatic moment. It's not like a TV cliffhanger where the door opens and somebody points a gun in and you don't know who's going to get shot.
That's good, because that just makes readers mad. So good choice. Good choice.
So I resolved that.
Good.
But there are all these loose threads. So now the fourth book, I'm pulling some of the threads together and making a pattern out of them so that people can see where it's going, but it's not going to be resolved. From that, I'm kind of taking after the Dave Weber books, the Honor Harrington books, because that is just this huge arc. It's 20 books, and it tells, each one is an episode, yes, but that there is stuff that's not done. There's stuff that still has to continue in the next one because it's not resolved.
Makes sense to me. Sometimes you just got to do it.
Yes.
If you could write in any world that wasn't your own, which world would that be?
Ooh. So we're talking about some other writer's universe or some other... Okay.
Yep. Any of them. It could be TV, movies, writer, whatever you want.
I'm actually going to grab onto Heinlein's later works because he introduced a concept of multiple pantheistic solipsism, which is the world is myth. So every writer who writes powerfully and gets a big following, the Oz books, the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan books, or his John Carter of Mars books. Nowadays, the Tom Clancy books and the Clive Cussler, Dirk Pitt books. Every time a writer creates one of these powerful universes, he's essentially writing it into reality. And somewhere out there, separated from this universe by a geometric trick, is that universe in which we're their fiction.
I feel sorry for whoever's reading mine. It's pretty boring.
So at the end of The Cat Who Walks Through Walls, was it The Cat Who Walks Through Walls? No, sorry, it was the end of To Sail Beyond the Sunset. He actually has characters from across the pantheon of science fiction because they've all been created.
Interesting.
And they've figured out a way to cross the boundaries of the universe. So if I can be in one universe, I would be in that one because that gives me access to all of them.
You can meet all your heroes.
And I can listen to their stories.
That would be fun. That would be fun. That's a very interesting answer. I like that. Let's see. Hey, Jenny says that's her favorite concept of his too.
Yes.
That's nice. You want to go see Tarbin, Jenny? Are you sure? I mean, it's in turmoil. It's in huge turmoil. Tarbin's my world. Lots of turmoil right now. I'm not sure it's a good idea. Maybe wait until they get it all settled and then come and play with all the magic. It'll be more fun. That's it. I personally wouldn't want to be in any of these fictional worlds. I like sitting on my couch eating popcorn and watching them. I think it's a lot safer that way.
She can go in Gay Deceiver. I'll go in Dora because Dora has a time twister in it too.
Nice. There you go.
And
Let's see. We have Kevin wants to know, what kind of research do you do to write women as the main characters in your books? Like Kevin says, he uses sensitivity readers and stuff like that. So just wondering, what do you do?
um, I don't particularly do research on that. For that, I send it at that's when I send it to my beta readers because they can tell me, okay, that doesn't ring true, or oh yeah, you nailed that one. So I'm not doing any active research. I've done a lifetime of reading and watching and observing and learning, and so I'm drawing on that. And so far, from what my readers have said, and with the various reviews and Instagrammers and have said, I seem to have gotten them.
Good.
Kendra and Cass and Ken seem to come off as real people and not caricatures. So
excellent. Well, it makes sense. So the beta readers are kind of what you're using for sensitivity readers. It makes sense. Awesome. Kevin says he'd go into his own world as long as no one else knew he was there. Yeah, they might get on you if they knew you were the author, Kevin. You better watch it. Let's see. So, where is your favorite place to write?
Right here. I've got my desk. I got my computer. It's all set up exactly the way I want it to be, so I can write. I've got music behind me that I can listen to.
Cats falling in the door.
Well, I can always stand up, and this particular one, when he was a kitten, when he was a kitten, he could fit in the palm of my hand.
Oh.
Yes. When he was a little bit bigger than that, he was batting at the sink, and we had an electric toothbrush plugged in and charging. And he caught hold of the cord, and the toothbrush fell and bonked him on the head. Now, mind you, he was, maybe this big. It's 5 years later, and he is incapable psychologically of jumping up on a sink.
Oh, poor baby.
Now, he can jump up on a chair. He can jump up, and he can jump over, and he can, he's not physically incapable of doing it.
Like you said, it's psychological.
He cannot jump up on a sink.
He's been scarred, poor thing.
Yes, which is a problem for him because he likes to drink from the tap.
That is a problem. I'm like, it's no big deal though. He's a cat. Yeah, if he wants to drink up there, yeah, it's kind of a problem.
So he'll come and meow at me, and he'll do the meerkat pose, sit on his haunches, and he's a big cat. He's like a 20-pound cat. So
holy moly.
He'll sit there and he'll bat at my leg and wait for me to pick him up and carry him to the sink and turn the water on for him.
Well, if he's a 20-pound cat, you might not want him jumping on the sink. He might break something.
It's possible, but not likely here. The house that we moved into in Colorado, they actually poured concrete. All the sinks are in poured concrete counters. So
I guess he's not going to break those. I think it's pretty safe.
Yes.
Let's see. We have Smashy wants to know the music that you listen to while you're writing. What do you listen to?
Well, I have a couple years ago, I started making a playlist for my wife of songs that I know that she likes. And what I would do is I tried to get way ahead because every night before we went to bed, I'd have the AI play one for her. So I've been doing that, and that has almost 600 songs in it. So I'll tell the AI just to shuffle that playlist, and I'm all set. It's like 36 hours of music. And if I don't feel like listening to that, I'll listen to 80s. I like,
So you like stuff with lyrics. You'll listen to actual music with lyrics and stuff.
Yes.
Excellent. Very cool. Well, that's actually our 20 questions. So for the last bit, I'd like to know, what are you promoting right now?
Right now, so the third book, of which I don't have my author copies yet. It's the one thing that they are so slow about.
Mm-hmm.
The third book, which is, hey, it's up on the screen right now, Measure of Humanity, just came out in December, and that's one I'm really excited about because, like I said, it takes the story in another direction. It examines some deeper concepts. The first book, you could say, was Cass growing up, because she had to go from very sheltered to dealing with the world that wanted to kill her. The second book is about Kendra growing up, because she had to go from, okay, she was taking care of Cass, and now she's got to take care of thousands of people. And she's got to deal with the fact that as the leader of a group that is in conflict with another group, sometimes what she's going to tell these people is going to get them killed. And she's got to learn how to deal with that. And then the third book gets beyond those, gets beyond the personal growth, and it's trying to force some growth on humanity, hence the title, The Measure of Humanity.
Excellent. And for all of the new fans that you've made tonight, where can they find you?
So the best place to go is going to be the website. It's www.CassidyChronicles.com. I have a blog going up there with plenty of posts. I put snippets up there from the work in progress, and that's the only place they're going to be able to see those. I'm going to have an author. I do author interviews with other sci-fi and genre authors.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how'd I do then? For the interview, how'd it go?
It went great.
Yay. Awesome. So for everyone, please make sure to read Adam Gaffen's books and review them, because that's the best thing you can do for your author friends.
Absolutely.
And please review this podcast wherever it is you get podcast, or subscribe on the YouTube channel, or follow us on Twitch. So thank you so much for coming, and we will see you next time, where we have Raymond Bolton as our guest.
Ooh, I'll have to tune into that.
He's pretty awesome.